And I'm Raz.
Before I had accepted Jesus as my Savior, I was just living for me and doing all the things that satisfied the flesh, I guess you would say. But I also kind of feel like once I had accepted Jesus as my Savior, I spent a lot of years as more of a fan than a follower, and proclaiming that Jesus was my Savior, but I was just like a go to church on Sunday, check the box kind of Christian for a lot of years.
And I think my experience was, so I grew up in a very Christian household, so I knew Jesus since the earliest I can remember. But I think when you look at the transition of before I became a true follower of Jesus, it was really, my relationship with Jesus was just super private, super personal, just me and him, and he was not the Lord of my life. I was extremely selfish. Even when we got married, I said, he's the foundation. He wasn't the foundation. She was the foundation of everything. She was kind of the foundation of who I was after we got married, and everything that I cared about. And she was definitely number one, and I was number two, and God was probably down here.
In September of 2018, I got diagnosed with some stuff that was influencing my fertility, and Raz and I wanted a baby, and it was taking a really long time, and so I got that diagnosis, which was really crushing, of course, for me, and that kind of started this snowball effect, I guess, of questions that I had. Started to kind of rattle my foundation that was admittedly pretty weak. A couple of months later, a close family member of mine, she was 16 and she committed suicide, and that was bringing really hard, of course, and brought up a lot of tough questions that I think a lot of us have. I realized who Jesus needed to be in my life, and that he needed to be the king of my life, and that he hadn't been. We were coming to CyLife, and we had been in a small group, and I was going through all those things, and it was the one thing that we were consistently doing. Of all the things, I was struggling through a lot. I was struggling through, at that point, losing my family member and my personal fertility stuff. Is God even real? Is this even all true? And all these things. But throughout that, all those things, we were still going to small group.
For me, what had happened was during that time she had that, there was just complete emotional abandonment from her in our marriage. She was just completely gone and actively pursuing things that were not for the benefit of our marriage, and therefore the foundation that was her in our marriage, that my life had been built on, just was completely swept away. And so that led to a lot of terrible things on my end, and I called my mom crying, saying, I don't know what to do. And she said, well, hey, you need to speak to Derek, small groups leader for us at the time. And so I did, and he essentially led me to an understanding that, hey, even though you're going to small group, even though you're praying and you have a relationship with God, he's not the Lord of your life, and you are putting everything that your foundation should be in her and your marriage and not on God. And then after that, I shortly, I had a lot of, even at the point, suicidal ideation, seeing would it be possible for me to divorce her? And God actively had spoken to me and took control, and I gave him complete control after being at the lowest point ever, and there was a complete, rapid, a beautiful transformation. And I began to make him and Jesus the Lord of my life. In October, we were speaking in a car after just leaving CyLife, and we were talking about, well, maybe you should go to this fertility doctor again. And I said, we have not given this to God. We have not given this to God. And made an active choice to say, God, this is yours. This is in your hands. It is not in ours. And 2 weeks later, our son was conceived. And I think that is the biggest and most beautiful thing that God gave us was our son through that terrible time, because we were not ready to be parents. We were not putting God first. And once we did, once we made him the Lord of our lives, he blessed us with a child. And from that point on, everything, like you had said, has been changing.
Yeah, I just truly believe that Jesus is the best teacher of how to love well. And I know that before my life was truly transformed by Jesus, when I became a follower and not a fan, I went from feeling like, oh, this is an inconvenience, making time for a small group is an inconvenience, going to lunch with this person or coffee with that person is an inconvenience, and I'm going to try and squeeze it in, to like, I look forward to hosting our small group, or to having dinner with these people, or going to this event or that event, because it's an opportunity for me to connect with people, and it's an opportunity for me to be the light of Christ in the world in whatever way that might be. And we have seen an incredible blessing in our community of people since we truly just said, here, God, here I am, send us.
The best decision that you ever made was saying, hey, we should go to that church and try it out this Sunday.
I feel like everything, there are so many things that we see that are like, oh, this is just a plug for small group or whatever. But honestly, it's part of our testimony, because our marriage was truly saved because we continued to be involved in our small group and stay plugged in despite all the stuff we were going through. We couldn't tell the story. We couldn't tell our story without including our small group.
Yeah.